Well, I've got a thought, notion. I've had it over the years. I've not followed through on it too much, but that really we are just a fruit eater. I don't mean that we can instantly readjust, if you like, back to such an original way of life, because it may be that our body's degenerated and can't do that. I don't know how you can find it cautiously. I think cautiously coming to a diet that's more fruit-based is a safer way. I mean, the heroic is always attractive, of course, but risky. The bigger the jump, the bigger the mistake you can easily find you've made. And some mistakes in this world are not reversible. With God, all things are possible, but in a worldly sense, things are experienced here as not. Yes, well, that's a truth in itself, isn't it? But to come back to diet, if, for instance, you just eat fruit, you don't even just eat fruit juice. I mean, our scientists say, well, you miss out a lot of the fibre if you just eat the juice. Perhaps you need that. My response is perhaps you don't if you're not taking in all the stuff that you need to get rid of, and you need fibre for to get rid of it. But I don't know. I'm just considering. And so I would say slightly safer. I mean, I think the dietitians would have a fit listening to this, but what happens if you just eat fruit, whole fruit? Don't juice it. Perhaps even juicing it mangles it and changes it to some state that's not as beneficial as the original fruit. And yes, of course, ideally, I mean, I would say, unquestionably, I would say go for organic fruit, not something that's likely to be affected by, chemical waste in some way. There's a notion of purity, isn't there? There is a notion in medicine that purity, and not just in medicine, but in normal practical living, that purity is not so safe. We should, for instance, in childhood be exposed to certain illnesses so that we build up an immunity to them. And it's much easier to handle them in childhood than it is in adult life. Was it measles, German measles, or something like that? I can't remember, so don't find my lead on this. But if your child had a certain illness, then believe it or not, you put them into bed with kids that didn't have, so that they would get the illness in childhood and get it out of the way and it not be a great problem to them. Chicken pox. There's all sorts of things in our culture, and like old wives' tales and what we call dismisses superstition, and ways Mum used to do things that were in fact, I suppose by the experience of society, found to be the way, without knowing the explanation, of course. Only that it seems to work and it's a good idea to do it, I don't know. Monday being laundry day, and, you do all the washing of clothes and so on. And, you could scientifically analyze and say, well, you don't need to do it every Monday, or, there's an optimal that's not that. But Perhaps it safeguarded us against disease when we didn't understand at all how disease was spread. That it was something to do with hygiene, lack of hygiene and so on. So we just find in our society certain patterns of behaviour are institutionalised, and they are actually our safeguard. And when you move into an era in which you no longer hold to such, and things go wrong, and you suddenly trace it back to, we were safeguarded against that by such and such a practice, tradition. In other words, there was a great wisdom in following tradition, and I suppose you could say a greater wisdom in knowing when not to. Coming back to diet, well, I suppose it's taste and see again, isn't it? I don't mean to make a pun there, but it is one, isn't it? Try. Just whole. Well, perhaps you can't get hold of organic fruit much, but as whole and organic a fruit as you can have a few days. See if, well, one, if it's tenable, but two is it a blessing? And if it isn't, well, I'll stop doing it. Think again. Where did I go wrong in my reasoning, you know? Thank you, Heavenly Dad. My organic-based friend, he has a view that, contrary to the medical thing, that perhaps you shouldn't expose yourself to these illnesses unnecessarily, because you hammer the immune system by doing so. Well, it sounds consistent with my view of keeping good company. Bad company makes for bad futures. He could be right, couldn't he? Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Another point, it's possible that if you are eating contaminated fruit, chemicals and so on, that the chemicals tend to be in the fibre, and that if you just juice and drink just the juice, you may have excluded a lot of stuff you don't want in the system, in your body. What's our Heavenly Dad's leading on this? Well, I'm impressed by the primates in the zoo that they get plenty of fruit given to them by the keeper. And from what I've seen of it, they grab it and squeeze it and drink the juice. Straight in from the plant into the mouth. And then throw the carcass away. You see, the life is in the blood, and the equivalent in the plant is the juice. Oh, hang on. I don't want you to stop eating fruit, because, it's the life. But the fruit seems to be given to us to eat. Encourages the animal material side of us to distribute the seed. Put it this way. If you know you've got organic fruit, eat the fruit. If on the other hand it's industrial fruit, you're buying it in the usual shops, and it's got all sorts of chemicals in its production, growth, cultivation, weed killers and all that stuff, juice it. Might be safer, mightn't it? And, if like me you can't find, leave alone afford, all organic diet, go producing it. See how you get on. If you find you're terribly deficient in something, do a U-turn. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. There's simple things too, organic bananas I can get in the supermarket. Well, that's good. They're a bit more expensive, but I'm probably eating less. I'm not just ramming the food in, Oranges, well, oranges, they're nearly all juice, aren't they? So if they're shop oranges, then you could, industrial oranges, so to speak, well, you could juice them. And if it doesn't taste right, if it's not a good flavour, if it's just weak and watery, probably wasting your time. I found that with blueberries, that they didn't seem to have a good taste. I don't know if you grow organic ones, they're a stronger taste, but I just thought, well, this is an expensive drink, isn't it? Even if you eat the whole fruit, it just doesn't. Better if you're just drinking the juice, but that would be very expensive. And I live in a place that is abundant in blueberries, peat bogs, wonderful for holding the moisture and not suffering from drought and so on. It's good blueberry country. But, well, if you could get them organically, I don't think, well, that's at least good. Do they still taste tasteless, or do organic blueberries have a much stronger, good, attractive taste? Or is it just me? What else is there? Well, the more expensive fruits I'm probably not going to just juice. Grapes are sort of marginal. They can be expensive one time of the year, and other times of the year they're not. After all, you save nearly all of the grape when you juice it, don't you? And of course you could have a grapevine in your garden in warmer climates, and well, that's just lovely, isn't it? Pears, well, same as apples, I would say, in a sense. If they are, if you have to buy the cheaper ones in the shop, well, juice it. If the juice is good, run with it. If it's a bit tasteless, or, well, of course, if it doesn't taste right, don't bother. Go for something else that's safer. When it comes to vegetables, the celery I grew, which was organic, was so tough and stringy. I much on it, so I juice it. That seems to work well. Do I drink the juice as it is? Typically not. I put it in a sort of dal-type soup. Leaves. Well, green leaves are a particular interest, aren't they? They reckon you should blanch the heavy green leaves, cabbages and so on. I don't actually eat much cabbage. I do eat spinach and I cook it. I could chop it up and it vanishes in, again, say the dal, and I do. Probably be careful of something you wouldn't eat on its own. I mean, for instance, I find that spinach, even just cooked and eaten as it is not a bad taste. And I feel I'm getting the greens. Rich in all sorts of minerals. And I do mean spinach that's organic, because you can grow it in the garden in most climates, can't you? Even all winter in New Zealand. And I do cook it. You could juice it. Don't think you get much juice out when you juice it. Probably a waste. You could grow spinach in a few flower pots, couldn't you, if you don't really have a garden? Worth doing. And probably the celery too. I find the darker greens like the kale just to be too tough and not sure. Perhaps they're nearer to sort of celery in a way where you could juice it. I mean, even if it's organic, it's just tough and stringy and don't know. You'll find the way, won't you? But move towards more fruit. Move towards organic. If you can't have organic, tend to juice it. You know, when you come to, say, beetroot, you're possibly better just juicing it and putting the juice in the... But if it's organic, well, make sure it's well crushed or very well cooked. I'm not sure about eating roots, you know. I've sort of stopped eating potatoes. They're not terribly high in nutrition and they're part of the deadly nightshade group and not keen, you know. But don't be too revolutionary, you know. Tentatively see what makes an improvement for you. Bless you. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.